Well, today is a very exciting day. Spring training has begun. I don't know if anyone's noticed that. Ian Kinsler is now a Tiger. Yeah, that's exciting. But very excited to go to Atlanta today right after. First they had an ice storm, then a snowstorm, then an earthquake, and now I'm going there. So it'll be fun. But it's good because I'll get to see my parents and my sisters, but I'll be really excited to see my nephews, my 4 nephews, and to see, I only get to see them a couple times a year, maybe once a year, and get to see how they've grown. And today I've been thinking this week actually about the times at their baptisms and how powerful moments that was for me. I don't know if you were here on Easter when we baptized my youngest nephew. That was such a powerful moment for me, just to see how he's grown and walking and talking and that kind of thing. And so today I'll really enjoy this baptism. I enjoy every baptism, but I've been looking forward to it for a couple of weeks now. Baptism is one way that we share the faith with those, with the generations behind us, with our children, with our grandchildren. But how can we share the faith with others, with our friends as well? And I think Jesus' parable speaks to that today. The parable that, and it's really a truth that a farmer can plant a seed, but the farmer can't make the seed grow. The farmer can plant a seed, he can water the seed, put the seed in the right soil, do everything to make the seed have the best opportunity to grow, but yet can't make the seed grow. Only God can make the seed grow. But the farmer does plant seeds with faith, because the farmer knows that seeds typically will grow. Ron and Lorna, how long has your farm been in your family? 160 years. And of those years, how many years has seed grown on your farm? 159. And last year, because of the rain, it was washed out, right? But you still planted this year because you have faith that the seed's going to grow. And so we bring our children to be baptized because we have faith that faith is going to grow in them. We've seen it happen in us. We've seen it happen with those around us. So we bring our children to the font. A child who is incapable of pretty much anything except for, what were the 3 things? Eating, sleeping, and playing. It was the cycle, right? Eat, sleep, play. Children are really incapable of doing much, and yet we still bring them to the font, because baptism is not about what we do. It's about what God does. And Connor, what does God do? We talked about it this morning. What does God do? What does he do in baptism? Chloe, help him out. He claims us. God claims us. All right. Apparently we'll have to visit that again next week. God claims us in the waters of baptism. God says, you are mine. You are part of my family. And then we put a cross on the baby's forehead, and it's there forever. Nothing we can do can take it off. Nothing someone else can do can take it off. We belong to God forever. And it's nothing we've done. It's everything that God has done. And so we come as a baby, because that's a perfect illustration. We are spiritual infants. There's nothing we can do. So God does it all. But today during our baptism, you are going to make promises. You're going to make promises to do things so that Caitlin, as she grows up, will come to know God. So you will make her life rich soil so that the seed of faith can grow. You're going to teach her the 10 Commandments in the Lord's Prayer. You're going to teach her, you're going to bring her to church. That's what we're asking. And you just built a house, a beautiful house far away, so if you don't bring her here, take her somewhere. And then you're going to teach her about what baptism means. What happened to her that day when some big Italian guy poured water on her head? And then you're going to talk to her about the Holy Communion. Holy Communion, a meal that shows God's divine hospitality, where all are welcome just the way they are. Doesn't matter how much money you make, doesn't matter what your politics are, doesn't matter who you love. All are welcome at the Lord's table. It is a meal of divine comfort. It's a meal that we take to people when they're in the hospital. And they are so grateful to have that meal, to feel God's presence with them. Jason, thank you for sharing that today in your children's sermon. So we do that. We make promises and we follow through on the promises, but we have to do more than that, I think. We have to make good choices. That's what the text from Deuteronomy is about. Make good choices. I have set before you life and death. Choose life. That's what Paul was writing about in our text today. He says, so why, now that you all believe and you've come together as a church, guess what they started doing? Fighting. And so Paul says, why are you fighting? Why? And so they're standing up. Well, I was brought into this church by Apollos. Yeah, well, I was brought in by Paul. And so they're reacting to conflict by fighting. And I think there can be a lot said by Christians by how we react to things. And so we teach our children as models of how to react, of how to live. I'm going to share 2 examples this week where I think I was pretty good and I think I wasn't. So we had a council meeting Monday night. So Monday night I thought I'd go to Chipotle beforehand. And so I pulled into Chipotle and there was the very first spot was wide open. But I thought, maybe someone was coming and needs that spot. So I parked a little further away. And I'm walking into Chipotle, and just as I'm walking in, someone pulls right into that first spot. I mean, literally, and I was afraid that they were going to hit me because they were coming in so fast. And I saw they had a University of Minnesota license plate bracket, so I thought, well, maybe, they're Lutheran. Maybe I can invite them to church. So I'm like, okay. So I'm walking in, and the guy gets out of his minivan and runs in front of me, but holds the door open for me, but runs in front of me to get in line in front of me. I'm like, oh, okay, well, it didn't look like they were that busy. So there was a couple people in line, and I'm sitting there thinking, it's no big deal. It's no big deal this guy cut in front of me. It's not like he's going to order 6 things. And there's only one person working the whole thing, and apparently Monday nights aren't very busy for Chipotle. And so we waited a few minutes, and he went in front of me, and the guy says, I need 5 burrito bowls and a quesadilla. And I thought it was really funny because I said, it's not like the guy's going to order 6 things. I really did say that to myself, and that is exactly what he ordered. And they were all different. And so my inner Robert De Niro wanted to come out and look at him and say, are you kidding me? So I had this little internal struggle. And I'm sitting there the whole time thinking, and I just started laughing because I'm such a fool inside for having this internal discussion in front of all these people at Chipotle. So I just started laughing, and I started thinking, maybe this guy has a wife and 4 kids at home, and maybe she's sick or the kids are sick and he needs to get home. And I started thinking about all the possibilities as to why this guy might have run in front of me to order 6 things when obviously I was by myself. And so by the time he got his stuff, I was just kind of sitting there in a good mood. And I think it's important that when we see other people and the things that they do, we have to think that maybe there's a reason why they're doing the things they're doing. Maybe the person cut you off in traffic because they're not from around here and they didn't know that the lane ends. Probably not, but maybe. And if you knew that about somebody, you'd probably be a lot less likely to honk or that kind of thing. So I felt like I did pretty good, and and so I came to council meeting feeling pretty good about myself. But the night before, I'll share this story. We were playing a championship softball game, and we were playing a bunch of kids who I think are from South Lake, and they're like 18, 19 years old, and they're really fast, and they're really in shape, and they're really athletic. And we're not quite as athletic. We've got more to put behind the ball, though, And so I hit a double, and I'm standing on second base. And there was a fly ball hit to right center, and this kid's camped under it and got it, and the shortstop yells, be ready for him to tag to throw the ball to third base. And I turned and said, don't hurt yourself, I'm not going anywhere. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm not exactly fast. And he goes, good thing, because I've got a cannon, this kid says that. And I said, well, even if you don't have a cannon, I'm not going anywhere. He goes, well, I do have a cannon. Okay. So the next inning, David Heumann, he's a member of our church. I don't know if you've met him, blonde hair, young guy, played minor league baseball in the Marlins organization, was a pitcher, made it to Double-A, could throw 95 miles an hour. He's playing shortstop. One of these kids, it might have been the same kid, hits it all the way to the fence in right field. David runs out to he's probably 200 feet away, and the kid's rounding third, he's going to score. And David catches the ball, and the kid is like jogging home, like, I've got this. And David throws a missile I mean, he probably threw it 80 miles an hour. And I'm standing at home plate, and it's just, the thing doesn't get more than 4 feet off the ground, and it's just right to my glove. And the kid looks on his face like, what just happened? And I tag him out, and he slides, and I tag him out. And what do? Do I reach down and help him up? No. Do I turn to David and say, great throw? No. I turn to their bench and say, that's what a cannon looks like. None of us are perfect. And so I really shouldn't have said that. That was inappropriate. It was trash talk. And I'm the pastor of the church, of the team. Which is why the good news is that no matter how good we try to be, no matter how good of an example you're going to try to be to Caitlin, you're going to make a mistake. And so the greatest thing we can do in those moments is admit our mistakes and say, but this is the good news, is that although we make mistakes, God has forgiven us. God has still claimed us. The cross is still on our forehead. And no matter what we do in our lives, when we die, all God sees is the cross on our forehead as we enter the gates of heaven. Only God can take someone who is as imperfect as us and turn us into righteous people. Only God can take our wailing and turn it into dancing. Amen.